Hello, it is 9 p.m. in Djibouti. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight's headlines, we have President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Guelleh, left Djibouti to the destinations of France. Also on the international scene, the release of the 22 Druzo hostages held by the organizations of the Islamic State. Welcome to our newsrooms. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, left this Friday morning the country to the city of Paris, the French capital, where he will take part from 11 to 13 November, the double event that is the celebrations of 100th anniversary of the armistice and a forum of peace and security in the world. The participation in this event is an extension of the strong link that our country shares with the notions of armistice on the one hand, and with the nations to the nations of preservation and promotion of peace and security on the other hand. Our link with the armistice is indeed due to the fact that contingent from our country took part in the World War I for 1914 to 18. Our relationship with the promotions of peace and security in the world is explained by the fact that our country is a vital link in the preservation, combat and regulation of security and stability in the regions of the Horn of Africa and the Indian Oceans. Initiative of the French President, the Paris Forum on Peace and Security, which will be attended by our President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Guelleh, has a value extended to the largest numbers of decision makers, governmental, international and even leaders from civil societies. Its main objective is to achieve an inclusive debate that generates concerted and viable solutions to conflict and other vectors of instability and insecurity around the world. During his participation in the Paris Forums on Peace and Security, President Guelleh will share Djibouti's well-known vision and expertise in preserving and strengthening peace and security. An important delegation, including the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, accompanied the President of the Republic in the context of this trip to Paris. Note also the presence in the delegations led by the head of state in France, the ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti to the French Republic, Mr. Aïd Mous'ad Yahye. A statement from the national unions of the Djiboutian women, which has reached us today, mentions the entry of the 2 new members to the executive committee of the UNFD, chaired by the First Lady of the country, Ms. Khadra Mahmoud Haid. This is Ms. Hasna Ahmed Bilil, formerly member of the National Assembly, who is appointed Vice President of the National Unions of the Djiboutian Women, UNFD. Ms. Hasna Ahmed Bilil was successively national members of the Parliament in 2008 and 2013. During her 2 terms of office, the new Vice President held the positions of the Vice Chairs of the Law Commissions. She has also been Chair of the Genders Committee on the Pan-African Parliament. Ms. Roqia Yusuf Ali, Executive of the UNFD, who is when she appointed the Deputy Secretary Generals. Remember that the other members of the committee remain unchanged. The State Secretaries for Social Affairs and the Ministry for Decentralization have continued to consolidate their partnership for local development and the resilience of rural populations. It is in this context that the mission is carried out Thursday, November 8, 2018 in Amailu, a village of the sub-prefectures of Randa, by the Minister Delegate for Decentralization, Hamadou Mohamed Aramis, Secretary of State for Social Affairs, Muna Osman Aden, and the commanders of the Japanese Self-Defense Forces in Djibouti, Colonel Takuro Sekia in this trip to Amelu, where an important meeting took place with the representative of the population, the two members of the government, and the Japanese officers were accompanied by the Tajura prefect Abdul Malik Muhammad Benoita, the sub-prefect of Randa Adan Muhammad Daoud, and the Tajura Regional Council Deputy Chairman Abdul Umar Abdul Qadir's. Discussions focused mainly on the thirst problems, access to care and education, food security, and other important issues. The officials, accompanied by their advisors, took good note of the complaint made by the customary chief and mothers. After these exchanges, the two ministries and the local authorities, as well as Colonel Sekia, visit the waters works realized 5 years ago by the project management unit of the Ministry of Agriculture. These buried systems with a capacity of 100 meter of waters has significantly improved the living conditions of the population. It's important crossroad for the inhabitants of these villages of the Randa Maka'arasu pastoral route, the village of Amelu, where peoples gather for important events like the prayers of the Eid and the players, and where they perform their civic duty at each pulse is called in the medium terms to become amid villages with all the necessary social services. This is the government goal in the fight against rural exclusions. For her part, the Secretary of State for Social Affairs, Ms. Muna Usman Adens, emphasized the importance of this visit, which is part of the government's effort to provide social services to the inhabitants of the regions of the interior of our country. We are on a working visit with the commanders of the Japanese forces based in Djibouti to know the situations of the population in the remote areas deprived of certain social services such as schools, dispensary, and others. During this meeting, we were informed of the urgent needs of the population in this locality, particularly with regard to drinking water supply, and we will endeavor to respond to this request as soon as possible in accordance with the commitment made by the common government headed by the President Ismail Omar Guelleh. Finally, we will also cooperate with other parties concerned, including Japanese forces based in Djibouti. For his part, the delegate minister in charge of decentralization, Hamadu Muhammad Aramis, expressed his thanks and gratitude to the inhabitants of the region for the hospitality reserved for him and his delegation. He pointed out that the Secretary of State for Social Affairs was working tirelessly to reduce the poverty rate, especially in the remote area, by improving the living conditions of the poorest family, by providing food, aid, and assistance money to needy people. The minister explained the main tasks of his department was to promote decentralization, claiming that there was a cooperative relationship between his department and the State Secretary for Social Affairs. He stressed the need to solve the problems of displacement and exodus to the city of Tajura by providing different remote areas with the necessary facilities and services. In his speech, he spoke of the ongoing effort to fight thirst and the problems of lack of water in the region, and recalled that the government would make every effort to access drinking waters to citizens. The Secretary General saw of the Organizations of Islamic Capitals and Cities, Mr. Omar Abdallah, arrived this Friday in Djibouti to attend the 32nd sessions of the organization's Administrative Council, which will be held by the first time in our country, November 11 to 12, in collaboration with the Mayor of Djibouti. Upon his arrival in Djibouti, he was welcomed by the Djibouti Mayor Fatuma Awali Usman, Djibouti's ambassador to Saudi Arabia and other officials, Ms. Fatuma Awale Osman, welcomed the Secretary General of the Organizations of Islamic City and Capitals and thanked him for his visit of the first kind to Djibouti. This session will consider a number of topics to promote and develop capacity buildings program and to improve level of development services and municipal facilities in the member countries of this organization. The choice of Djibouti to host this major event reflects the success of the effort of the Djiboutian authorities under the leadership of the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, to strengthen the presence of Djibouti in the international fora. Since the arrival of the Islamic banks in Djibouti in 2005, the country has put in place an adequate legal framework to facilitate the expansion of Islamic finance according to the Central Bank of Djibouti. These banks were able to strengthen the financial investment of the country. In particular, they hold 15 to 20% of the Djiboutian financial market. Listen to this report.
The Republic of Djibouti aims to become the new platform of Islamic finance in Africa. During the last 8 years, 4 Islamic banks have settled in Djibouti, having already hosted the last 3 summits of the African Conference on Islamic Finance. Djibouti has managed to attract significant investment. With its new legal system facilitating the growth of Islamic finance, the Republic of Djibouti can become the largest Islamic financial platform in Africa. Since the arrival of Islamic banks in Djibouti in 2006, the country has put in place an adequate legal framework to facilitate the expansion of Islamic finance. According to the Central Bank of Djibouti, these banks were able to strengthen the financial investments of the country. The country has also enacted a law on Islamic insurance since June 2012. In addition, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, received the Islamic Finance Prize awarded by the President of Kazakhstan. Our President has been decorated for his commitment and for the support he has given to public and private institutions. The development of Islamic finance in Djibouti has been emulated during the 8 editions of the Global Islamic Finance Award held in Sarajevo on October 1st, 2018. The head of state, who has been awarded with the JIFA World Prize since September 2017, presented the trophy to the winner of the 2018 edition, namely the President of Bosnia. More than a symbol, the prize of these institutions comes to devote the effort of a country and its principal leader turned to the development of Islamic finance. The grail was undoubtedly yesterday with the official inauguration of an imposing modern old glass and aluminium building of the Salam Africa Bank, one of the Islamic bank in the center of the city. The Salam Africa Bank is a financial group owned by a group of Somali economic operators, high-tech building bringing together all the specific equipment to the modern building, the most refined. Salam Africa Bank is a 12-story complex with a total area of 15 square meters. It has also a parking of 4,000 square meters. It provides a framework conducive to the achievement of the quality work, including a total computerizations of its service and a permanent accessibility to broadband internet. Indeed, if the first 2 floors of the buildings are devoted to ordinary banking activities, serve as administrative premises for the high hierarchy of the institutions. One of the reasons Djibouti wants to be the spearhead of Islamic finance is the reduction of poverty. This new form of finance will contribute to poverty reductions through the interest-free loan system.
The presidents of Somalia and Eritrea met Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed on Friday to aims to cement regional economic ties as relations warms between the once rivals nations, Somalia's President Mohamed Abdullahi and Mohamed and the Eritrean's President Isaias Afwerki arrived in the northern Ethiopian city of Gondar for the summit. They also visit a university. The meeting is intended to cement of the outcome of the Horn of Africa Economic Integration Agreement. Ethiopia's state affiliate Fiana Broadcasting Corporate reported that the three leaders had in meeting in September to lay the groundwork for the agreement, the details of which remains vague. This is a testimony, this is a witnesses for everyone that the history of the Horn of Africa has changed. The Somali president told officials during a presbyterian Gondars, now we are moving for regional collaborations in economic development in order to be sure that we fight poverty in this region. He added that former provinces of Ethiopia, Eritrea broke away in 1993 but was back at war with its southern neighbor 5 years later when a borders dispute sparked fighting. A peace deal ended for the war 2 years later, but Ethiopia and Eritrea remained bitter forces after Addis Ababa refused to accept a United Nations-backed boundary demarcation. Shortly after his April inauguration, Abiy reversed that policy, leading the two neighbors to sign a peace deal last July. Abiy and Isaias have since met repeatedly around the region, and the speed of the rapprochement had surprised even veterans Ethiopian politicians. There are things you think are impossible link normalizations with Eritrea. Ethiopian President Sahle Worke Zewde told us the South African Broadcasting Corporation on Thursday. For Ethiopia, this normalization is helping a lot, not just for Ethiopia and Eritrea, but the region as a whole, she said. Concerning international scene in Syria, we have released of the 22 trust hostages held by the organizations of Islamic State. Listen to the report.
Last night, 20 tribes, women and children abducted by the Islamic State group in July from the southern Syrian province of Suwaid were free Thursday and welcomed by their relative state media. Syrian state media say the mass liberation was the result of a military operation, but others insisted the 15-week stage ordeal was intended thanks to a prisoner swap agreement. Media reported that the free hostage met their relatives after more than 3 months of grueling captivity, during which at least 2 of the group were killed. Local journalist Noor Rodwan told AFP the hostage were brought to a military base in the north of Suwaida province, where they were met by family members. The group will next head of the Suwaida city, where dozens of people had gathered to welcome them home. According to the state news agency SANA, the army clashed directly with the IC terrorist organization, which had abducted women and children from the Suwaida province.
This is it for tonight news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.